Blues listeners. This is Nick, and I'm here to answer the most pressing question we always get. How do the Honolulu Blues stay so current with Detroit Lions news? And no, it's not because we have Brad Holmes' number yet, but it is because we are on the app Autograph. That's it. Just download the app Autograph and use the referral code GOLIONS, one word. There, you can get the latest news, articles, podcasts, and all the best content for your favorite teams, like the Red Wings, Tigers, Pistons, Wolverines, Spartans, and of course, our beloved Lions. But that's not all. The more content you read or listen to from the app, the more points you earn. Then you can use those points at chances to win free jerseys, collectibles, and even tickets, including a free ticket for the Lions vs. Rams season opener at Ford Field. Yup, just read the same articles as you would while you're at work. Just do it through the app, and you could be sitting next to us at Ford Field. Make sure to get the app Autograph and use the code GOLIONS. One word. Now, let's get to the show. Oh, we're back. Oh, I should maybe turn it upside down for a loss, though. Yeah. But we're back. It's a preseason loss, but we're here. We get to talk about football, live football. As always, I'm Nick. This is other host, Tony Stark, and we are going to have a terrific show for you because we got a lot to talk about. But first things first, before we get into this game, Adam, this was the unveiling, first live action shots on your TV with the 4K of our jerseys. How beautiful did you think our jerseys looked? I had the Matt Stafford like white teeth, like whitening, basically just as white as could be, blue as could be. It was beautiful in a wet stadium. How'd you think of the jerseys? What'd you think of the jerseys?
Man, I loved them. I love they had Rakestraw and Terrion lead them out. Those 0 and 15 are two just cold defensive numbers. Terrion, I don't know if he was rocking the visor, but when he was in training camp, oh my gosh, looked so good. Same with Kirby. Kirby had that Honolulu blue one going. Man, oh man. But the one thing I gotta say I noticed the most was the face mask. That blue face mask looks so good, man. It just makes a perfect subtle, change to the helmet, and it complements the whole outfit. And then I don't know why, but like the white, it seems like it pops more. It's like a brighter white.
Oh, dude. Yeah. 100%, dude. It pops so much on the TV. It's crazy to me. Even when they were getting muddy, it was still wet or white as could be. But you're right. That blue face mask is cold, dude. It's so beautiful. And white jersey or white gloves, like getting up to Jared Goff's face and whatnot, will be a little bit more exposed because of that blue, in my opinion. So that's kind of nice. Just all around, I like
that either.
Yeah.
We've been through our, hand color on face mask. Or jersey, I should say. And it's actually a face mask. But
yeah, exactly. Try to like amplify the colors so we can actually get correct calls go our way one time. Also, before we get to the game, did you watch Hard Knocks at all? I watched episode 1. I was ranting and raving. I was all excited about it. Watched it.
I have not yet.
No. Oh my gosh, Adam. How have you not watched it?
I don't know. I had something going on that Tuesday. And then, that's what it was. I was watching Girlfriend's Little Brother for, until today, actually. He's at Cedar Point now. But we were watching him, and he's not the biggest Hard Knocks fan. So we were watching, like, the movie If, playing some video games, just having some fun. But, yeah, I'm probably going to do a doubleheader. If I don't watch it this weekend, I'm definitely going to pull a little doubleheader on Tuesday.
It was really cool. My favorite thing happened. Caleb Williams came up there and sucked for his rookie, like,
I heard that. Yeah.
So that was great. That's all I want. I said I didn't want to like secretly fall in love with Caleb Williams because he had this awesome like rookie showing for his rookie talent show, and he didn't. It was terrible, and it was great. There was one guy, they're calling him the Canadian Eagle. He actually got injured in the Hall of Fame game, which stinks, but he is awesome. He was the star of the show in episode 1 for the Bears, but we are not here to talk about the Bears. We're here to do a little bit of a game recap. And ultimately, the Lions lost 14-3. That's pretty much all it was. And I know it's preseason, but my God, Adam, just remind me, is the sky falling because we lost the preseason game or no?
Yes and no. Yes, because I hate just losing any type of game with the Lions with all this hype going on. And it's like, our backups are better than their backups. What's going on? We're the better team. What? They can't be beating us. But there were some good takeaways from that game. It was a slop fest, very rainy, so I felt like that might have played a role. I cannot imagine that Dan Campbell and the whole staff didn't have like on the back of their mind, hey, this field is known for tearing ACLs, destroying guys' legs, so no crazy slant, spin around, wiggle plays like that. So I felt like it was just a lot of simple run up the middle, run left, pass over, slant, simple stuff like that.
Yeah, it definitely was very vanilla, as we will see in all preseason games, but no starters. I guess maybe like Terrion Arnold did play, maybe the only starter outside of special teams that really played. We were very cautious with that, and I had tweeted that out before the game. It's a notorious field for injuries, so I am very okay with that. But speaking of injuries, it's a great segue to what we're going to lead the recap off with it, which is the injuries. So, Adam, I want you to take note to all these guys outside of Hendon Hooker, who, if any, stand out when it comes to injuries. But I'll list them all off here. First off, it was Hendon Hooker. He has a concussion. We don't know how it is going. We lost defensive lineman David Bada to an Achilles. He was out all of last year on the IR with an arm injury. He last played in 2022 with the Commanders. We lost offensive lineman Connor Galvin to a torn MCL. He's out for the season. He was our best PFF graded player after the game. We also have a concussion to wide receiver Antoine Green as he fights for the wide receiver 4 battle. Defensive lineman James Houston has a bone bruise, nothing serious. Defensive back Maurice Norris with a little, as they put it, hamstring injury, and then defensive line Nate Lynn, who had one of our sacks, or maybe our only sack yesterday. He is injured with a shoulder. So again, do any of these stick out to you outside of Hendon Hooker, which we'll get into in a little bit? But
the significant ones, I guess, because I guess Houston, I assume bone bruise, should be back week 1 if he sits the rest of preseason. Same as thing is like Green, concussion, get the Guardian cap on him all week long, all next couple. Honestly, if he wants to wear, he can wear the Guardian cap in game. So hell, I believe it's up to the player. I don't think the coach can mandate it, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So it would not shock me if Dan Campbell was just like, look, you get a concussion, you want to play, you wear this hat. So cool. Will be cool to see if any, just any players, honestly, wear that in the preseason, and especially any players coming off of a concussion or just like a hard hit where, sometimes guys, it looks like they got a concussion, they come out, and the next thing you know, they pass the test, they come back in. Because there is instances where you can get your bell rang and, not be fully concussed. Yep. But not terribly, I will say. Does stink to see the German man, Bada, whatever I need to pronounce it, him go down. Hopefully, Achilles is tough, so it's like real fingers crossed if he, was just a strain or something. But hopefully it was just something that could, not end his season.
His season's over. They already announced it. He's out.
They did.
He's done. Bad Achilles, out for season. My biggest thing was Connor Galvin. He played so well. Interior offensive line, or I'm sorry, depth offensive line is super important. If we are to, like, that's our bread and butter is our offensive line. So the more reps and better our depth can get, the better, in my opinion. Our offensive line looked pretty shaky. Our backup offensive line last night, a lot of miscommunication, missed practice, or missed, I can't think of the word right now. assignments. There we go. So, and it just led to very poor rushing attempts from us, whereas in their offensive line, the Giants kind of manhandled our defensive line when it came to running the ball, and they were able to run all over us. Again, you're right. You alluded to the wet field does kind of play a part in that. But so I thought Connor Galvin was tough. And the reason I didn't want to talk about Hendon Hooker was because then we're going to get right into the Hendon Hooker and Nate Sudfeld. These were kind of what all eyes were on after Ennis Rakestraw and Terrion Arnold. We were all watching the quarterbacks to see how they would play. Again, I don't want to make excuses. It was wet, but Nate Sudfeld was not it, dude. Like, we'll start with him. Nate Sudfeld was just bad upon bad upon bad. Never drove the team. The closest we ever got was when Hooker was playing quarterback. Even when Sudfeld came back in for the fourth quarter, there was nothing that he could do. There's no reason he should be on the team, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, especially like coming back in that fourth quarter, you're not getting the Giants twos or even all the threes. You're getting threes, fours, and fives, and maybe like a couple threes. It's mostly the fours and fives. Dudes trying to make the team. Dudes, likely will be playing in the UFL or on practice squad. So it's like, man, if you can't, put some points up, make at least one good drive. But yeah, I've never been the biggest Nate Sudfeld guy. I don't know what it is. I feel like he's just one of them, like Chase Daniel type, Drew Stanton type players. I guess both of those guys were a little better, but they don't really come in the game as much. They're just clipboard holders. Definitely. And not saying that in a bad way, but I don't know. Maybe Dan Campbell saw the brains in him of, maybe he can scout a team, pick plays off. But when it comes to game time, he's just doesn't have it. And we've seen that time after time, especially with Lions quarterbacks.
Very much so. I agree where Nate is just never, to me, I put him right to Tim Boyle. Yep. What are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? And obviously, I didn't think he was going to make the team. It was going to be Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker played very well. Didn't pass the ball great, but went 5 for 9, had an obvious connection with undrafted free agent, oh my God, what's his name? Williams. Isaiah Williams?
Yeah.
Isaiah Williams. And that was nice, but his running is just something we haven't seen from guys like Joey Harrington, Matthew Stafford, John Kitna, Jeff Garcia, Jared Goff. Like, we just don't, since Charlie Batch, I guess, and freaking Andre Ware in the 90s, we haven't known what a quarterback running looks like. It just even our backups weren't anything like that. Like, we never have known what that looked like. So it was very interesting to see that. And then Hooker turned into Derrick Henry and just plowed over freaking Giants guys left and right, got up, just was going. If he would have scored a touchdown on the play that he got concussed on, right in the 9-yard line.
Yeah, we had that 4th and 2.
It's 4th and yeah.
8-9 yard line. Mm-hmm. Kind of a crazy play. Threw the intercept. I think Sudfeld actually was in for that because he threw the interception.
Yeah, Sudfeld threw the interception where we ended up getting it back.
Hooker got him. Yeah.
Hooker got him down. Hooker threw the ball to Donovan Peoples-Jones, who was just a little over him. But the play before that, he had a chance to run it in and got hit. He got concussed. He stayed in the game, but then left after the drive. That would have been electric. Hooker running in a touchdown would have just we would have been freaking. I don't care what the score would have been. We would have been freaking out, and it would have been very nice to see. However, it doesn't happen. We don't get the 4th and 2. He leaves the game with a concussion. Sudfeld comes back in. I guess before I have a question I want to ask, but before I ask that question, I do want to hear what your thoughts are on Hendon Hooker in general. This is our first time we got to see him, and I'm like jumping right past it. What are your thoughts? We saw some live action from him. What are your thoughts?
I picked him as my preseason MVP for the offense, so I had high expectations. I was bummed that he didn't get that first half nod. I was kind of feeling that everything was pointing towards Sudfeld closer to game time, and then sure enough, Sudfeld came out. But once Hooker came out, there was a couple little things, but the thing that stand out the most, Nick, was the running. It was like, who does this remind me of? And you're like trying to compare him to a Lions quarterback, and it's like there hasn't been any in a decade that's been truly like a good mobile quarterback that can throw and pass. I guess guy mentioned a minute ago, Drew Stanton. He was, I guess, a scrambler, but not the best arm. So when you have a guy that can do both, it will be interesting to see because I assume he'll be back for the next preseason game, probably the third one. But If not, I don't know. I have some expectations for him, but mostly I'm just like, Jared Goff, please stay healthy. I don't want to see either of these guys play one snap.
That's perfect, because if Jared Goff doesn't stay healthy, my next question was, is now the time? We know what Sudfeld is, and that's not good. Get him off the team right now. I don't even want him on the team. Hendon Hooker may not play next week. If he doesn't, do we just let Sudfeld play the whole game? Probably. Or is it time to think about getting a guy like Ryan Tannehill or a quarterback that's out there unsigned, still can play? You know what I mean? Like,
I saw Bleacher Report did a trade, just a hypothetical trade of us and the Falcons, and I think we traded like a sixth or a seventh rounder for Taylor Heineke, which would be interesting because he's a dude that's been oftentimes coming in as like that reserved, and we've seen him kind of grit out some wins, get dirty, lay out for touchdowns. I believe he was a part of that Washington team that ended the Steelers like, I want to say, 10-game win streak. They were the last undefeated team, and Heineke came in. And then also, I want to say either last year or a couple years ago, he ended the Eagles win streak too. The Eagles were like 10-0, 11-0, and all of a sudden the Commanders just randomly beat them. So I wouldn't be opposed. I would definitely prefer to look at some of these unsigned guys, I guess, like Tannehill. I don't know who else is out there, but I feel like there's a couple other, older names just kind of looking around. I mean, hell, if Joe Flacco is on a team, then we should be able to find a Joe Flacco-esque type backup.
Exactly. What's Teddy Bridgewater up to these days? Bring that guy back. We need him back. Okay, I was just kind of curious on your thoughts there. Let's move on to the guys that outside of quarterbacks we were probably most interested in, which was Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw. Just real quick, what are some of the first things that come to your head when someone brings up Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw after the first game that we got to see him play?
Terrion, I don't know. Either I missed it or he just didn't have a whole lot of action thrown towards him. But Rakestraw, that very opening drive, they threw it, a meek, bam, knocks it down, great play. And then they do a little, it was like a 3rd and 5, and the dude either swing route or it was just a little flat route. But he catches it right at the line of scrimmage, and Rakestraw just tackled him and wrestled him out of bounds. And that was like, oh yeah, this dude's got some fire in him. He's a good tackler. He's not, trying to go for the legs, which we often see cornerbacks do. And some are good at it, but man, if you can just manhandle, some of these wide receivers, I'm all for it.
Amen, dude. And Ennis Terrion didn't make any big plays because the ball wasn't thrown over to him, but he had lockdown coverage. If you go back and watch him, he was locked down. He was right on it. And same with Rakestraw. He had that huge 3rd down tackle. It forced them to punt on their opening drive. I'm very excited. For these guys. Plus Carlton Davis, which we didn't see, Brian Branch, Kirby, Iffy. We didn't see any of those guys. We let the young kids go out there and play, but I would almost be shocked if they don't play next week. Honestly, we saw a lot.
What'd you think of the other Branch boy, Brandon Branch, getting the INT, or Brandon Joseph, maybe?
Brandon Joseph. Yeah. I was like, we do not have another Branch, right? No,
we have 2 Josephs. That's what it was. I was like, I know we have 2 safeties with the same last name, Kirby.
Yes. Brandon Joseph. It was stellar. 3 tackles, 2nd on the team, and a big pick. He jumped the route, exactly what you want to do. I was very excited to see him because, in my opinion, he's our 4th safety. He is who we need to have the depth. But CJ Moore can beat him out, and CJ Moore is all about the special team. So it's a battle. I'm not sure how that's going to go. I hope Brandon Joseph makes this team, though. Seems like every time I hear about him, he did something well. He did have a missed tackle, but he slipped, and so I'm not going to count it too much against him. Another guy let's talk about is Sione Vaki. We saw him make a couple big moves, big runs. Pretty much our best running back for sure, in my opinion. He had 4 rushes for 29 yards, I believe, where Craig Reynolds had 4 for 11. But
Zonafin 6 for 12, Jake Funk 4 for 9, Jamer 5 for 9. So yes, he was
by far basically our best rusher. Hendon Hooker was our best rusher, but Baki was the best running back. What did you think about him? Seeing him, very, very minimal snaps at running back position in his life. So it's very fun to see this development, this project kind of develop before our eyes. What did you think of seeing Vaki out there?
Oh, he was great, man. He had the highlight all around Twitter. It's kind of our best play. That nice little up the middle. You saw his just cutting and explosiveness, split two guys, 15-yard gain. It was a nice play. And that was something where it's like, it honestly, he's starting to give me some Theo Riddick flashes where this dude's kind of, a short, jukey type player, can catch it out of the backfield. I don't think he had any catches, but he's definitely a guy that can make catches, make plays. And we saw it there, just that one little play kind of lets you know, all right, he's got something.
Yeah, I agree. I really liked his shiftiness, as you're saying, very theoretic, very Shady McCoy-ish is what I saw when I saw him run on the pitch or in the middle. It was very nice to see that. Do you think he beats out Craig Reynolds for running back 3 or no?
This could be one of those where Dan Campbell loves Craig. The entire team does. All the fans do. But it's like, hey, at the end of the day, we are making business decisions. And this dude is just – he's showing some flashes. We might not know what he has in him. As to Craig Reynolds, we've seen his ceiling. We know what kind of running back he is. He's a solid, third string running back, and can ironically make a fourth down touchdown in the playoffs when you need him. So Craig Reynolds, if he does get cut, it will be sad. I would hate to see him on another team, but I do hope he gets on another team if he does get cut, because he's a great running back, good dude, and it would be cool to see Vaki, come into this role. I do think it is between him and Craig. I don't think Zonovan, Jake Funk, or Jamar Jefferson are kind of in the running unless they do something crazy or an injury happens. But other than that, yeah, I think the meter is starting to tilt towards Vaki, but I think it's right in the middle right now.
Okay, right in the middle. So, okay. But leaning a little bit to Vaki.
Yeah.
Okay. I would agree that it's leaning more Vaki, but ultimately, if I had to put money down, I would say Craig Reynolds wins RB3. But we won't be getting rid of Vaki. We drafted him. He will be on our team. Let's move on to a couple of the other guys that we haven't talked about that had some big plays. Broderick Martin, 2 pass deflections, 4 tackles or a couple tackles. I can't remember. Jake Bates. 4 tackles. Jake Bates with a 53-yard field goal would have been the longest field goal a Detroit Lions kicker made all of last year in the rain, which is awesome outdoors. Nate Lynn with a sack. Anyone that we haven't really talked about kind of, speak to you, kind of show up for you, or do you have anything to say upon Broderick Martin, Jake Bates, Nate Lynn?
Yeah, Martin and Bates, probably the 2 guys that stand out the most, because Martin was a guy that we spent the 3rd rounder on him, didn't really play a whole lot, and everyone was like, well, Brad Holmes doesn't miss picks, so what's going on here? This dude should be a stud. And now, it seems like he's got some juice in the tank. He looks bigger. He looks meaner. When he did get that sack, he absolutely just blew the dude off the line. And it was a nice sack to where it wasn't, the quarterback rolls right into him and he just, wraps him up. So Martin, I like it. If he keeps this going, then I'll be, much more optimistic on him. Jake Bates, though, he was the guy that stole the show for me. Was the only guy that put up points for the Lions. Came in, hit a 53-yarder in the rain, like you just said, Nick, as his first NFL attempt, which that's impressive. And I mentioned this before on a few shows ago that he was going through that kicking struggle in practice. He had a bad day, and I don't know exactly, his percentage during that practice, but it wasn't good. And a bunch of beat reporters were tweeting about him saying we need to get kickers, yada, yada, yada. Well, I figured this dude's either going to crumble and be, just be known as a UFL kicker, or he's truly got something in him and he's going to absolutely flip the switch and just show us that he can hit the extra points. He can hit the 50-yarders. Sucks we didn't get to see him hit or kick any extra points. That would be nice. But that 53-yarder, it was, not right down the middle, but it was, good as good. So if he can hit those and just be like a 95, high 90s% extra point kicker, then I'm okay with that.
100%. Yep. I think Broderick Martin was a huge MVP of the day. Ultimately, if I had to pick an MVP of the defense, I would pick Broderick Martin. It would be between him and Brandon Joseph. And I just love the way he played. To be honest, backing up like DJ Reader, like honestly, I'm so excited for DJ Reader. But I'm a little bit more excited for Broderick. I kind of wish that I would want to see a defensive line without Reader, though I want him in. But I would be very curious what the multiverse universe is like, where it's Levi, Aleem, and Broderick in our interior defensive line. And I truly think that those three by themselves can hold up with the best of them. And you just pluck DJ Reader right in, dude. It's going to be.
Do you think Reader's been a little, forgotten about amongst Lions fans, beat
I think
reporters?
so. With the injury, he's not out there, so he's not making plays, so he's not getting wrote about and talked about. And it's a recency news is what the fans love. So I do think so. I truly do think so, and I think it's just going to be a cherry on top when he starts to play, and it's going to be very nice. And even if it takes him a couple weeks to get in healthy and get in form and get in shape and getting mentally ready, I'm very excited to see what Broderick does alongside with Aleem McNeil and Hutch and Davenport. I think it'd be really, really fun. And Levi, who has been raved about. And then Jake Bates, just exactly what we wanted to see. 1 for 1, didn't miss, kicked it with room to spare. Frickin' could have booted that boy from
easily. Yeah,
exactly. So I really like that. He was the special teams. He wasn't even special. Yeah, he was MVP. Jack Fox was pretty good too.
Yeah.
Per usual, you know what I mean? But as we wrap up the show, I do want to get into, we did some MVP predictions, and I want to go over and decide who won. So Julius picked Dorius Fontaine, who did not end up with a stat, and Levi Onzawerki, who did not play. He did not win the MVP award. I picked Caden Davis, who went one catch for 5 yards, and Matthew Betts, who again did not record anything and is not going to get me the MVP. But Adam picked Hendon Hooker, who went 5 for 9, 36 yards.
Easy road.
34. He is a good pick. And then he picked Ennis Rake-Estraw, who had a huge third down tackle and looked great in his debut. So I will say, Adam, you win the preseason week 1 MVP prediction game. Congrats. Shout out. We all predicted the Lions to beat the Giants. That did not happen. No one won that game. But before we wrap the show up, I got one final question for you, Adam. And this is just a broad question about week 1 preseason for the Detroit Lions. What do you think? We watched it. We watched the game. Where are your thoughts?
It felt so good, man. I truly, I had such a different feeling before this game started of anticipation, excitement, and just oh my gosh, please get that bad tasting 49ers game washed away. Because the more the Lions play, the more we will forget about that. And even though it's preseason, oh man, I was sitting on a footrest in front of my TV trying to get as close as possible because the chairs were too far back. And my girlfriend's like, we were supposed to go keep watching our show. We're watching Your Honor. I don't know if anyone's seen that, but great show on Netflix. Anyways, we were supposed to be watching that, and I was like, baby, please, the Lions, I know it's preseason, but let me just watch a little bit of this. And sure enough, a little bit turned into the first half. But man, oh man, it was weird. I noticed my feeling of I feel like this feels like excitement for a playoff game. I am stoked for a preseason game. This is uncharted territory. So yeah, man, it felt awesome. This next one, the next one, and I should say the only Lions game that I will like more than this one is the next one. So yes, so happy Lions football's back.
Amen. Next week we get Kansas City at 4:00 on a Saturday. We'll be here doing a show before the game next week, probably sometime, and then maybe do a post-game show on Sunday. Just kind of recap the game, see what happens. But as always, appreciate you tuning in. Adam, you want to take us out?
Yeah. As always, you guys can check us out on Twitter at Honolulu Blues _. Posted good stuff and the occasional mess ups as to my Tracy Walker. That was I was at a concert too when I saw that. So I'll walk you through it because it was very, very ironic because I quote tweeted a tweet Tracy Walker going to the 49ers, a team that Lions kind of despise right now. And I said, let's go, bring him back, baby. Well, I was at a concert. I got the notification and I just saw Lions quarterback Tracy Walker. And my brain just assumed, and I looked at the picture and he was in a Lions uniform and I was like, we're bringing him back. Let's go. Sweet. And so I quickly checked our account to see if you or Julius had tweeted. Oh, sweet. None of them broke the news. I'm scrolling Twitter for a hot second during this concert, and I'm like, wow, no one's really tweeted about this. I'll be the first. Sweet. I'll be the first to. It only been, 5-6 minutes. So I fired it off right away. And then I almost positive I didn't realize until after the concert ended. I'm looking and people are like, did you read that? Are we reading the same thing? He's not coming to Detroit. And I was like, oh, what? Never mind. Tracy Walker, he's a traitor. Get out of here.
That was
Love that. Yes, boys and girls, get ready for some more little what do you call those?
Sound clips?
Sound bites, sound clips, little funny things to spice.
We're adding them into our show. Yeah, sprinkle them here or there.
We're Honolulu Blues. We're coming a long way since those who know Lions Brawl. Very few of you guys know that, but check us out individually at Everyday FFB for myself and Nick Faber NFL. And as always,
go Lions! And you didn't burn yourself for this Lions game, right?
No.
So